What is up, Retromaniacs? My name is Mike. His name's Joe. His name's EP. And we're here to talk about cards. We're generally very positive creatures, wouldn't you say, for the most part, except for Joe. Joe is not. Yeah. And it just turns out that this was a topic that Joe may have suggested to us. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 worst type of card collectors. None of our viewers, again, we know none of you are this way. You're the best. Hit that like button.
Yeah. But if you know somebody in the hobby who is one of these things, just send them on over to our show. Just send them on over. Let them know.
No, maybe we'll educate them.
Maybe we will educate them. All right, let's get into it. Number 1 is the attention seeker. They just constantly have to make posts, maybe post the same thing over and over again. I don't know. They just always want to show off what they have, and they seek the attention and the approval. They just want likes. Not us. We're different than that. Just hit the like button. And they want attention for the cards that they have. What are your thoughts on the attention seeker, Joe?
So I don't need to know what everyone who's in the hobby, what kind of car they own. But for some reason, there are so many people in this hobby who I know what kind of car they own because they take pictures of them ripping packs in front of a Mercedes or BMW or Tesla logo in their steering wheel. You're an attention seeker. That's the first kind that I thought of when you started to describe it. The second kind, yeah, I get it. You like this certain athlete. I get that you own their card. I get you might own 20 copies of one card. I don't need to see them every day. I don't. I scroll past. I don't comment. I just scroll past because follow our other advice about just, hey, scroll past. I might text these guys. I might do that. But I generally scroll past. I don't say, my God, I don't need to see that guy's card anymore. But yes, this is a thing in our hobby that, we talk about social media a lot, downfall of Western civilization as I see it. And people just really, really, really need to ask your opinion on a card that they know is already worth X amount of dollars. What do you think this is worth? What is this a good pool? I hate you people. I hate you people.
You don't hate them. You don't.
I strongly dislike these.
There you go.
Yeah. I strongly dislike these people.
I think some level of attention seeking is fine. I feel like if I find a really cool card, I'm going to share it. Or if I pull a cool card, I'm going to share it. Mm-hmm. But there is a level where you get past where it becomes a real problem. If I had the exact same thought, Joe. If you go to the store and you buy your blaster, your hanger, or whatever, and you get in your car just to open it, just so you can post the thing to the whatever social media platform you use, you don't care about the cards at all. You care about the clicks, the likes, the views. That's all you're worried about. That is what we're talking about. That is a problem. Like, you have a serious problem. Get back to the hobby. Enjoy the hobby.
Get help. Okay? Get help.
Yeah, get help.
One more point about the card thing, because there are, if you sit in your car, hopefully not right now and watching us, because that's dangerous. But if you're sitting in your car, look around at all the area in your car that does not have your car's logo. If you are specifically putting your cards in front of that logo, you are doing it on purpose. Don't tell me you're not. You're a liar. And I hate people that do that. All right.
And yes, we do understand the irony of the three of us with our video on YouTube talking about the worst people and attention seekers. Yes. We get it. We do, but we're on YouTube. It's okay here.
It's totally different.
Again, there's a level. There's some people that go so far above that level. That's outrageous.
All right, number 2. I had to create this term because I really didn't know what to call it, but I'm going to call it the ghost buyer. Mm-hmm. We all run into them. The person who asking you about a card. Can you send me pictures of this from 30 different angles? What's your price on it? And you do all that. You get that all ready for you. Send it from. Never hear from them again. No, I'm going to pass. Thanks for the time. Still annoying, but not as annoying as the ghost buyer who just totally ghost you after you do the work for them.
It gets to a point that when this happens to us, where someone asked us for additional pictures, someone, reaches out, hey, what do you have of this player? Things like that. It gets to the point now where when they actually follow through with a purchase, you think you just hit the jackpot. You think you hit the lottery. You should go play your numbers, because it is so rare. And this is what I call it when people ask me or they ask you guys to send them pictures. They feel like I'm a museum. I am not. I am not putting these cards. I'm not curating these pictures of these cards to send specifically to you so you can look at them. You can go to eBay if you just want to look at cards. You can go to TCDB if you just want to look at these cards. I am not your museum. So if you ask me, at least respond. Say, oh, actually, I have all of those already, or I think we're just too far apart on price. That, again, annoying, but that's fine. They're at least responding. When you ghost someone and you are no longer there and they read it, it says it right on a lot of the DMs or a lot of texts nowadays. Like, they read it. So that's very annoying when that happens. And it happens a lot. It happened a lot when we first got in. I think we've gotten to the point, though, where we know better to I'm not even going to waste my time, man. I'm good.
You kind of weed those people out, right? Like, I feel like when it gets to the point where something's happening like this, where when it goes the other way and somebody actually buys them from us and we send that congratulations text, like normally when you send it to somebody else, say like the balloons pop up or whatever, like on your phone, or like the fireworks go off or whatever, like, because it's such a big deal. Like, that was actually really like what it feels like when it happens. So my question though is, Joe, I don't forget exactly how you phrased it, like they're the worst or whatever, but what is worse, when they do this, or then when they come in and try to buy it from you, your $5 card for $1? They're trying to get a ridiculous price on it. Which is worse for you?
I would rather them offer me a lowball offer, because at least they're still engaged.
Right. Okay.
Because it's either like they completely ghosted me or they got hit by a bus. Like, I kind of need to know what's going on in their life now at this point. I'm invested, and I really don't want to be invested. And I have plenty of friends. I don't need to know. So, but it's like, well, what happened to this person? They having especially when you have a really good conversation going, right, and then they disappear as soon as you do the thing they ask you to do. That's more frustrating. Like, I'm all about getting a deal. So I appreciate the, maybe not that low ball, but I do appreciate the hustle.
It's also annoying when you have somebody who has a $400 plus order in your pack sale that just totally goes you too. But I digress. Yeah. All right, number 3 on the list. I think this one might be the one I like the least. The complainer. They're always complaining about every little thing. Okay, so maybe somebody put tape over the top of your top loader. Really not the end of the world. I don't keep them in the top loaders. They're sent to me in anyway. Maybe somebody put a couple base cards on the other side of it to protect it a little bit more for you. Oh, why are they sending me this? Throw them out. This is not a big deal, but I see it over and over and over about the minutia in the hobby, these little things that drive people crazy. They just love to complain about everything.
This, and coming from me, who also does enjoy a good complaining. I mean, okay, the tape thing, ridiculous. You're not going to use that same top loader. If you are, we probably have other things we need to discuss. Like, if you're still using that top loader, I shipped it in. The base card thing, we see that all the time. Like, they're not trying to get you into like I've used, I forget what I had, like, so many extra of that I used. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get you into DC cards or whatever it was. I'm using these as like the buffer, so that if I send you,
throw them out with the rest of the packaging.
Do whatever you want to do with them. But or like baseball cards. Like, I don't collect baseball cards. I had all these like late 90s or late 80s, early 90s baseball cards randomly in a pile. Guess what? I use them for filler. People complain about that. People complain about their grades. People complaining about the cost of shipping. You saw the cost. The cost was there. Yes, if someone ships it and it's terrible, okay, I get that. But if you saw the cost and you agreed to it, that's kind of on you. Like there's so many little things, and they feel the entire world needs to know.
They do.
I do not need to know this. Most people do not need to know this. If you have a problem with something specific, reach out to the buyer. Or I'm sorry, reach out to the seller as a buyer. Like do that, but I don't put the whole world on blast because you don't like tape on the top of your top loader. It's ridiculous.
There are a couple of different like categories of this kind of person. I think first off, they're like a cousin / sibling to our first person, the attention seeker, because they feel like everybody needs to know that they have a problem with these things, right? Like it's a very, very close relationship here. But I also feel like they are like a lot of these things. The worst ones are they need to be educated, like you said, Joe. Like if you're complaining about shipping if you don't ship cards. Like obviously, if somebody's charging you $20 and they only spent like $5 to ship something, that's complain about that. But if they're complaining about shipping, that's $5, whatever. That's literally whatever we have to pay to ship the card out. Like, don't complain about that. Like, I think there are a lot of things that people complain about in the hobby where if they were actually educated and actually they weren't being ignorant about it, they probably wouldn't complain about it. Those are the ones that really, really bug me. Like complaining about something that is you have no right or reason to actually complain about it. You're just complaining to complain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they need to be educated. Maybe the next person on this list can help with that. Because it is the know-it-all. You cannot know any more than this person. Whether they know it or not, they know it better than you do, and that's all that matters. See this all the time. There are just people that are insufferable on Twitter. You can tell. I if I say something I remember from a certain time about a certain set, I can say, well, actually this, and they can come back with you got to get out of it right there. That's the time to bail because you're not changing their mind. They know it all, whether they were there or not, they know it all. They know it all.
Man, this is one that I know it's not specific to our hobby, but it feels like everyone in our hobby is a certain level of this, right? And I'm one of those people who, if I don't know something, I want to learn about it. Like, so if I know someone knows more about it than I do, but like EP, I think you've said this about me. Like, once I get into something, I am in it. Like, I am going to do every bit of research. I am going to, the case incentives from Rittenhouse. I am going to find out how many boxes were made, what's the most possible amount of incentive cards could be made, so I know how many of this card there, like to the minutia. So I feel like I educate myself pretty well. But there are people who have been collecting, in my instance, Star Trek cards since 1991. Like when I stopped in like 94, they didn't. They kept collecting. I'll ask them their opinion on things. I'll say, what was going on with this set? Why is this set so much more expensive than the other set? If I was one of these know-it-all people, I would make my own determination. I would tell them, no, even though you lived through this, even though you were pulling cards from that era, I read an article. So I definitely know more than you do about this. And it's these know-it-alls seem to not have a sense of urgency when it comes to the time they spend responding. They feel the need and they have the time that they can constantly try and get the last word, constantly get the last word, to the point, like you said, Mike, once you see it going that way, step away. Give them the whole, we're never going to agree on this. It is what it is. Move on. I've laid out the facts. You've laid out opinion, but it's yours, so you must be right. So I am just going to step away. And it's hard for some people to do that. You have to be a little bit more adult to do that. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I'll admit it. I will go back and forth with someone. But yeah, once you see it go in that direction, it's best to just move on.
This seems like a lot of these things on this list, a compulsive thing too, right? Like they'll go into posts just randomly, just insert their know-it-all comment, and then just move and they move along. They feel like they have to be. Well, I'm the person who knows the most about this, so I'm going to say what I need to say right now. I'm going to be a dick about it because that's typically what these people are like. And so, but I like the thing is, I feel like Mike is the person who ends up getting into the beef most with these kinds of people. It seems like for some reason they gravitate to his stuff for some reason, because there's a lot of times when he'll share stuff with us and like, look at this person, like maybe doesn't use the word person, but like look at this, look at this crap, like just so I feel like it. And again, like it's compulsive. it's horrible. Like, I mean, just you share your knowledge when it's appropriate, or like if somebody is asking for it or something like that. But if you're just going in there just to be a dick, don't do it.
Social media has given all kinds of people the misconception that their opinion is knowledge, and they have an opinion, therefore they're knowledgeable on something. It's a broader issue than the hobby, but it definitely rears its head.
And there can be situations where I watched Kyle Peterson, who does toy reviews, right? I've sent you guys his channels, and he'll do top 10 lists, top 5 lists, and he'll rank the top 10 Ultimate Warrior toys. And he always says, put your top 10 in the comments below, put them in order, because that's the hard part. And guess what? Your list is 100% correct. And so is mine, because this is an opinion. Now, again, that's okay. You can have an opinion. I like this card over that card. That's fine. That's you. If I post a card and you say, no, this is actually the true grail of whatever, that's fine. You can have that opinion. But sometimes people come in with their opinions like they are facts. That's not fine. There's a completely different can of worms there. So yeah, have an opinion. It's fine. But sometimes it's going to be wrong if you're facing facts.
All right. The fifth and final person on our list, the worst type of people in the hobby, the gatekeepers. Thankfully, you don't run into as many of these, but we all run into them. And it's usually the same experience when you do. I mean, they're kind of a combination of a lot of these other things all rolled into one, but they're the true collector of that, Joe. Not you, EP. You might collect that, but you don't collect that,
right?
Like I do. Like, and we see it. We've heard people on YouTube mention about being the gatekeepers. It's annoying. Just stop. All of us can collect what we want. Maybe you have a little bit better collection than I do. It doesn't mean you necessarily like it any more than I like my collection. It doesn't mean that you get any more satisfaction. It doesn't necessarily mean you know any more about it. Just let people do what makes them happy. And maybe if it's in your lane, it's okay. There's plenty of room there. You don't have to try to push people out of it.
They might not have, well, you said you might have a better collection. It doesn't mean you have more knowledge. All it means is they have more money, right? Like I see this a lot of times, and possibly more debt, to be fair. I mean, you see these folks, you mentioned it without mentioning the great curator saying we should be the gatekeepers and this and that. I'm curious on how much money he spent to call himself a gatekeeper. I mean, there are a lot of folks that have to spend a lot of money to make themselves feel better, make themselves feel important. That's just how it is. But in terms of gatekeeping, I have to say, Mike, I think EP and I are very lucky that we don't collect wrestling cards, because I feel like every wrestling card collector feels they're a gatekeeper in some way, shape, or form. Like, it just seems like, well, I'm the ultra modern gatekeeper. I'm the wrestling all-stars gatekeeper. I'm this, I'm that. It's like, okay, guys, just, this circle ain't going to jerk itself kind of thing. So, but gatekeepers are truly the worst, because I think we were talking about it when you had gone to check your dryer. EP and I were talking about a certain collector who we all follow on Twitter, who is a non-sports gatekeeper, and he will tell us, you shouldn't sell if you're a true collector. He's put that gate up. He said, if you sell anything, you're not a true collector. And then, he's also a hypocrite, because 3 posts later, he will be selling things that he called a grail 2 weeks ago. So, like, putting these gates up, just all you're trying to do is exclude people from this hobby. Shouldn't we want to open up the gate, let people come in? Because that just means your cards that you're so probably obsessed with their value, because gatekeepers generally are obsessed with value as well. Yeah. Your cards will probably be worth more if you let more people in and make an inclusive hobby experience for as many people as possible.
I feel like this kind of person is more prevalent now with social media and everything than it ever was back in the day, like by far. And these people can just the F off, like just literally get out of my hobby. Like we're
like 20 minutes in, EP. You can drop F bombs if you want to.
Well, I mean, this hobby is supposed to be about like collecting what sets off fireworks in your head. Like, what are you excited about right now in the hobby? And go do that thing and be excited. Be excited. And most of these people are the kind of people that crap on that thought process, and that is, to me, one of the biggest issues in the hobby. And if you are acting like you are the only person that should be allowed, some of these people are the only people allowed to collect these certain kinds of cards just because of that's who you are. Like, you're everybody's inferior to you. Like, you are a serious problem in a hobby where we're supposed to be loving what we do. I mean, damn, like what I can't even, I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now just because, like, I don't understand what motivation is there for these people to be like this? Like, what is their motivation?
Just who they are. Yeah.
Wasn't there a specific
like
wrestling card situation where someone's like, "Oh, you can't collect that wrestler because there's a super collector and they want the 1-of-1." I remember, I think I was in New Orleans or Atlanta when we were talking about this story.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, wrestling is really bad. And it's gonna get worse with all the new people coming into wrestling with Topps making the cards. So yeah, prepare yourself. But let us know in the comments what type of person in the hobby, other than YouTube content creators, do you think are the worst? Not us.
Hey, put those down too. That's fine too.
Yeah.
We give you the minutia twice during this show. Yeah. What other podcasts and shows are giving you that in YouTube? None.
Yeah.
Just us, right?
Yeah. Also, let us know which of these 5 things we all are in the comments, because I feel like there's times when we're like we act like know-it-alls, we act like attention. Like, let us know what we all are in the comments as well.
Yeah,
all 5
fun with it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. We'll see you next week. Take care.
See you, boys.
See ya.